Hey guys, welcome back for part two of the fifth installment for the Fantasy League podcast with CT and Jerry. We're missing Bryson this week, so we don't have the stats on lock, but that's all right. Maybe we'll get Bryson back next week. For this part, we're going to preview the Week 7 or Bymageddon matchups. And Jerry, where do you want to start?
Kind of honors on the tee box. Let's start with Shmee and his matchup as the first place team versus Jack.
Well, would you look at that? It's right there ready for you.
Look at you. Our producer is so well prepared for this. Yeah, you're calling it Bymageddon. I'm calling it by NATO. Kind of the same thing. I feel like it's affecting every single team except for RO. We'll go into this matchup of Shmee versus Jack. Not terrible from Jack on Thursday Night Football. Starting the Denver D against the Cleveland D against a terrible looking Denver team right now. I think they've lost like 3 in a row and their offense is not moving at all. So not a bad start. Jack is kind of banking on a good game from the Baltimore receivers, Andrews and Brown. Bengals are kind of middle of the pack in passing yards allowed, so I could see really that going either way. But other than that, he needs to have a big game from never going to throw it deep again, Matt Ryan. He's third to last in average completed yards at 4.8 out of qualified quarterbacks. So if they get down to the red zone and he's 5 or 6 yards from the end zone, he might put up a bunch of points, but he just doesn't throw it deep anymore. I still can't tell if that's just him getting old, kind of like we saw with Drew Brees, or if it's just a new OC is not really wanting him to chuck it up. I know he has to stream a QB this week, but that just stinks to have Matt Ryan. It's a decent matchup. Just Matt Ryan hasn't been playing like Matt Ryan.
Right.
Even if Jack gets a kicker, I think we can both agree Shmee is going to run away with this one. He has Stafford to Cup against Detroit, plus the Rams defense against an awful Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff is one of the only quarterbacks with less completed air yards than Matt Ryan. Jack's RBs are beat up. Gibson has a fractured shin, but I heard he may still try and play. And then, he already lost Saquon earlier. I have Shmee by 15 plus. I don't know if he's going to get a tight end or not. That's been a hot topic in the group, but I still feel like he wins because I don't expect Williams to play. So Herbert's going to get the start and a lot of touches. Ruggs could be a good flex play of Derek Carr just bombing it at home. Scary Terry should have a bounce back game against Green Bay, whose defense isn't that great. The only thing that I've kind of but what I heard is that Detroit's run defense is so bad that Matt Stafford may only throw it like 21, 22 times this game, and that would be bad for him and Cup, and they'll still win. So that's the only way I see Shmee losing this is that they just run the ball so much that Cup and Stafford don't get a ton of points.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Shmee here too, and I'm gonna guess by 20 plus. I think that you're gonna get a Stafford revenge game against Detroit.
That's true.
I think he wants to go there and just kind of lay it on. Although if he follows the Tom Brady path, he won't really air it out. He'll be a little more respectful than that. But we'll see. I'm expecting a big week out of Stafford, and Cup will probably catch between 6 and 10 balls and maybe a touchdown. They love him in the red zone. Washington's gonna have to throw a lot, so I think McLaurin and then Gibson may be out, so I think you'll see McLaurin be featured. If Saquon doesn't play, that benefits Shmee because Booker will get all the touches there, even though it's against a tough Carolina run defense. And same with Herbert. He's got a tough matchup against Tampa Bay. So over on Jack's side, I think you highlighted everything. His running backs are hurt. Andrews has been featured a lot lately. They've been making a big effort to throw the ball more, and Jack has benefited from some big games from Hollywood and from Andrews. But the Cincy defense has improved this year, and I won't be surprised if they've really got to focus on running the ball. Although with having their top runner Latavius Murray being out or being hurt. That hurts Jack, and but it might help Jack because they may have to throw the ball a little more. At the end of the day, I just think
Jack has Murray on his bench. I haven't seen an official out from him, but I've heard likely out, so that's usually never a good sign.
Yep. So at the end of the day, I mean, I think if Stafford and Kupp have a huge game, I think it won't be close at all. If they have a less than a huge game, I think it could come down to the wire, but I think I'm taking Shmee by 20-ish.
I am as well. I need to write this down.
Write it down for both of us so we know how we do.
All right.
Where do you want to go next?
Let me see. Why don't you pull up? Ooh, you versus Nels.
Oh man, Nels getting that dearest money from Dearest Johnson last night.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm calling this matchup either whichever one you want, the diamond or gold matchup. This is 3 rings versus 4 rings. Couldn't have asked for a better start from Earnest Money on Thursday Night Football. I hate Thursday Night Football. I think this changed Nels's perspective on Thursday Night Football. He loved it. 26 versus 3 to start the week. Broncos couldn't tackle him in a paper bag. I think that made this matchup very interesting. We do this on a Thursday. I think you maybe win in a blowout, but I think Joe Burrow has a good matchup, even though Herbert struggled against the Baltimore defense. The Bengals coaching staff may be ready for that now. Still overall they're bottom 7 in passing yards allowed, so maybe they're able to sneak up on Herbert and the new coach, but maybe Bengals coaching can game plan around that. Plus, Nelson's receiving core is always dangerous with Adams and Evans. CT has a solid team up and down with 2 good running backs and a great one in its flex spot. His wide receivers are questionable, and I wrote this before Antonio Brown was ruled out, but I put Antonio didn't practice Thursday, not a good sign. The biggest difference though is Mahomes versus Tennessee's defense. Mahomes should light it up against them. I think this became a very close matchup with Earnest Money getting 26, but I'm going to go with CT by 4. And my note was assuming both A Browns play. With Antonio out, oh my gosh, I feel like this is going to be close, but I'm still going to go with CT by a couple. Nelson's catching a huge break here by playing CT with Antonio Brown out. That's a big break.
Yeah, well, and I've also got my other 2, Amari and Deontay, out, so he's catching me kind of on a bye week. And it's possible AJ Brown is out. He had food poisoning and has been dealing with that. So I'm waiting on the practice report to show up and kind of see where he turns out. Mm-hmm. That being said, I do have good matchups. Mahomes against Tennessee, Darrell against Tennessee. I'm hopeful that Philly commits to the run this game against kind of a weaker Las Vegas defense. But overall, Nelson's
playing well. Maybe it's just their passing defense.
Yeah,
has been better.
Yep. And then, but over on his side, with Brown being out, Evans is going to see a ton of targets. Devontae already has a smash matchup against the Washington football team. Burrow may be having to throw all day to keep up against Baltimore, and Damian Harris has a smash matchup against the Jets. So, plus he's got Corduroy Patterson down there in another great matchup against Miami. So I will be. too many things are breaking right for Nels, plus earnest money already having 26 points. I think this is going to be the highest scoring game of the week.
Yeah.
And it's going to come down to how much of a it's going to come down to what do I get out of Mahomes and Darrell Williams in Tennessee versus how much does Devontae and Evans smash in their matchups. And I think Nelson's going to smash more than me a little bit, and so I'm going to take him in a very close one.
Nice. I think we're both thinking it's really close, but yeah, I mean, you got both ends of the Chiefs because you got if they run it in, you got Williams. If they throw it in, you got Mahomes. So you're really banking on KC shredding this Tennessee defense. I think it's a great matchup, but maybe they come to play because Chiefs are coming in town and they step it up. I'm not sure. I still feel like they're pretty porous, so that should definitely favor you, and that's why I'm going close. But if you see in the third quarter that Chiefs only have 17 points or something, that's probably not going to be a good sign.
Yep. I need it to be like a 45-42 Chiefs win or something like that, where Mahomes throws 5 touchdowns and throws a couple to Darrell. But and then if AJ Brown is out, then that hurts. If he's in, he's got a great matchup against Kansas City and he could blow up too. So if AJ Brown is out, I just picked up Jamison Crowder, who's going to again bye week fill in. So we'll see.
Well, it should help you. I mean, I think Vegas is just banking on both defenses being terrible, but it is a 57.5 over under, and it's the only line that's set at 50. Well, Rams Lions at 50.5, but you can see that they expect this game to be a shootout way more than the other games. Let's
hammer the over, Jerry.
If I were you, I'd hammer the under. That would kind of hedge for you.
Jerry, I don't. You know me. I love to hedge. So, all right. Well, I'm going to take Nels. Reverse jinx. Reverse. No, and we'll see what happens. I'm hedging by if I lose my prediction on this one, then that's a good thing. There's your hedge, Jerry.
What?
I said there's your hedge. I'm taking Nels.
Yeah, I guess that's a hedge. Next, let's go to, speaking of hedging, let's go to CB versus Mayse.
Speaking of hedging, CB versus Mayse.
Mayse does some financial stuff, nothing with hedge funds, but it kind of worked.
So I guess CB is not going to start a quarterback this week.
Yeah, we're going to call the police on him and arrest him for not having a full lineup.
Does he have a quarterback on his bench?
No, I looked, and my note is CB may be in trouble this week. He doesn't have a QB with Allen on a bye, which I was catching him, this week. His options are Wentz, just looking at the players available. His options really, realistically, are Wentz, Heineke, Daniel Jones, or Tannehill. So I actually had a question before we kept going on with the notes. Out of those guys, who would you take?
I'd take Tannehill against Kansas City.
That's the way I'm leaning. I think if he does that, he probably squeaks out a win here. I feel like if he goes with any of the others, he's not. I said both lineups are bad. This is like Kansas versus Texas Tech bad. I think Mayse can change his lineup around if Julio is out. Personally, I wouldn't play him just because I feel like he plays maybe every other play just with his hamstring. He's been doing that for a couple of years now. If Mayse picks up a decent defense, I think he's got a good shot at winning this matchup. I love CB's wide receivers, especially if you compare them straight up against Mayse. Landry only had 3 points. I don't really expect much out of Julio. I actually do like Cooks, but I think Arizona's defense is kind of underrated, and they've been playing really well, so that might put a lot of pressure on Mills, and Cooks may not get the ball. If CB picks up Tannehill, I'm going with CB on this one. If he ends up picking someone else, I think Mayse actually could win this. So I'll go CB officially if we're keeping
Interesting.
track.
I'm going to go CB regardless of who he picks up at quarterback.
Oh, okay.
I think he's got. I think he's got too much. Now I will say, starting Ramondre Stevenson is risky because he may not even be the guy. I hope he's the guy. That'd be great because I'm going against Damian Harris, but I don't think he's going to get. I mean, he's projected for 2 points. He's not going to get the bulk of the touches, but I don't know that he has another option at running back. So, and the running back waivers are bare, to say the least. But looking on the other side, Julio may be out. I know he's got T. Higgins on his bench. But part of this is going to come down to between Edmonds and Connor, like who's going to get more touches and who's going to get the red zone touches against a weak Houston defense. And I think those have been going to Connor lately. So
I think Connor wins that, but who knows? I think Connor wins that, but I think maybe Mike Davis wins against Stevenson, and then I think Shepard actually got downgraded. He's not out, but like it was tracking like he was going to play, and then maybe something happened Thursday. So I mean, CB may need another wide receiver, and he's already down.
He's got a couple guys he can drop though. I mean, and if anyone goes out, if Shepard gets downgraded, then he's got an IR spot that's open. So, I think I'm going to go with CB regardless of who he picks up at quarterback.
Yeah.
I think for Mayse hurts. If Julio plays, Mike Davis, they have good matchups. But I got a feeling CB's going to win here.
Very nice. Let's go to Scales of Justice versus Wes.
Okay.
Well, the strategy of playing both Broncos running backs paid off as they both found the end zone and otherwise awful game. I mean, he couldn't. I mean, for how bad, if they didn't get those touchdowns, he would have gotten like 5 points combined, except they both found the end zone on, I think both probably like screen passes. And instead of getting 5 points, he got 19. So he couldn't have asked for anything better with how that game was going. This is going to be another tough matchup to predict. I usually don't trust Winston, but he has a glorious matchup against the Seahawks D and can also get some double up if he hits Kamara, which we all know Kamara is a great pass-catching running back. The only play I don't really like here is Corey Davis against a tough New England defense at New England. I feel like Belichick's really going to take him away, and Zach Wilson's going to struggle. But I don't really trust Hardman either, so I kind of have that as a wash. Giants and Detroit defenses are both toward the bottom in rushing yards allowed, so Scales has great matchups here. In fact, I think Henderson's going to have a great game as they just keep handing him the ball as to make sure Stafford and the receivers don't get hurt. They're just going to keep running the ball, waste the clock, and that's going to be an easy victory for the Rams. Goddard may not play just because he was activated. Who knows? That's still kind of a question mark, but he has Gesicki if he can't go, so that's good for Wes. I have this matchup as being really close. I think Scales has a better matchup with Winston in one of those like 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, just trying to throw it all over the field. That's only if Scales. That's only if Scales fields a full lineup. Otherwise, it's an automatic loss. So
interesting. Well, I'm going to go with Scales to win here. I think I will say Wes. I don't trust Geno Smith throwing the ball to Metcalf. I know Lamar could have a huge game, and Hardman hasn't had a blow up yet, so he could always, catch a long touchdown or something like that against Tennessee. But banking on or waiting for that to happen, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't think 19 points from Gordon and Williams is going to be enough to overcome what I think is going to be positive game script for Kamara against Seattle. Mm-hmm. Henderson's got a smash spot against Detroit. Moore's got a good matchup against the Giants, and so I'm going to take Scales here. I think it might be close, especially if Hardman catches a long touchdown or something like that. But everyone's playing, kind of the deep cover 2 against the Chiefs and making them beat them underneath. So it kind of takes away the speed element that the Chiefs are trying to go with the Legion of Zoom. So we'll see. I'm going Scales.
I am well. I almost put it in my notes, but I deleted it. It's just like unless you never know with Lamar. I mean, he's been putting up great points, and then last week in a great matchup, he only put up 11. It just depends what Harbaugh wants to do. If he wants to run the ball, or if he wants, if Lamar has to come back. This one was really tough for me because Lamar is such a great athlete, but I'm still going to go Scales with his 3 running backs in those 3 matchups. You got to love him.
Yeah, and he's set up for success because once McCaffrey comes back, he'll have Monty coming back too, and he'll have kind of the 3 running backs. He's got Jefferson on bye this week, but he's got real good receivers. He just needs to find a consistent production at quarterback, and he's probably, then he's got a team, one of the top teams. But
Yep.
So. All right, let's see. Where to next, sir?
Bryson versus Taylor.
Bryson and Taylor. Let's see. Okay. So Bryson's going to win because Taylor's team is on bye and he's had to pick up all these backups.
Yeah, we talked about how his team played so well last week going into the team's bye week, which is this week, and no one got swept up more by by NATO than Taylor. Having to play Justin Fields. I guess he's banking on Alex Collins not playing, and then he picked up DJ Dallas, and then he's going back to his boy Tanyan, who has like 2 points on the whole fantasy season. I've heard he's making a ton of money, Taylor, on like daily fantasy stuff, but why? How does he not drop Tanyan and try and get some other wide receiver flex play? I feel like there's way better options out there. I don't know why he needs to keep Tanyan, is what I'm saying.
Right.
I wouldn't really drop anyone on his bench, but maybe Chark's on the IR. But I don't know. Tanyan is just not doing it for Rodgers this year. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this one. Kyler, Mixon, and Jones might outscore Taylor's entire team. Taylor's shining stars, Jamar Chase, having an amazing season and having a great connection with Joe Burrow. I'm sure Nels likes to hear that. He could have a big game, but it won't be enough to beat Bryson. Looks like he caught a break here with Bryson, and I think Bryson wins easy. Interesting, though, that Bryson is doing the West strategy and playing both Green Bay running backs. And I hope they both don't have rushing touchdowns. I'm sorry, Bryson, but I really hope they don't.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, is Bryson dealing with some buys this week as well? I know he's got Hunt on IR. He's got Thielen on bye.
Right.
He might switch in Jamal Williams. We'll see. But
it's not the worst strategy to play both those guys because they're both going to get touches, but he's just kind of hindering his ceiling. But I mean, and if you look at your opponent, I don't think it's really going to matter.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Taylor has 6 guys on bye plus an injury, and it's like, man, what do you do? And you end up starting. And also, fun little note here: it's Tunyon, like Funyun.
What was I saying, Tanyan?
Tanyan, but no, it's Tunyon, like Funyun. That should be a U, but
yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I think Bryson's going to win pretty handily. You're starting 2 tight ends plus DJ Dallas.
DJ Dallas.
Yeah. So, well, good luck on daily fantasy this week, Taylor. But otherwise, congrats on the win, Bryson.
That one should be pretty easy. So we both got Bryson in that one. Let me mark it down on the official post-it of Fantasy Football League.
You can put it on the board.
You can put it on the board. I miss Hawk calling those games. It sucks he retired. All right, last one is Jerry versus RO.
Oh, man.
Wow, when did I
This
jump up to 117?
this may
Oh, they
be
gave Freeman 9 because
yeah.
Murray's out.
This may be the highest scoring game of the week if Nelson and I don't do that.
Right, and in my notes, one of the higher projections of the week, as neither team was too affected by the by NATO. I lost CD Lamb, which does kind of hurt, but RO lost no one. I feel like he either got lucky or planned it pretty well that he didn't have 6 teams on or 6 players on week 7 bye. Titans have one of the highest yards per completion rates in the league, and I'm going against the 2 prime chief targets, so that does not spell well. Tampa Bay is probably going to be, or sorry, Tom Brady is probably going to do Tom Brady things and go for 4 touchdowns as the Chicago defense is beat up right now. Chicago's defense has stopped quarterbacks in previous weeks, but they are getting a lot of people hurt. Like I think Quinn, one of their edge rushers, is hurt. Hicks is one of their best interior defensive linemen. Also pressure on quarterbacks. He's hurt. I feel like they just lost one of their best corners, and I think his last name's Jackson or something. So not looking good. Myers is a good flex option as Mac Jones has constantly kind of been targeting him, and it's going against the Jets. It could have a big game. I think Rodgers could have a big game if he gets rid of the ball quickly. He's been getting sacked and under pressure a lot more this season. And looking at his numbers, he has not performed as well as he did in his MVP season against the blitz or under pressure. So hopefully he gets rid of the ball quickly. Probably a lot of slants to Devontae Adams is what I'm hoping for, and they score.
Oh, I hope that does not happen at all.
I know you don't. Geno, as you said earlier, Geno doesn't really look to be anywhere close to Russell Wilson, and Lockett. Lockett is a toss-up in this matchup. I really don't know which way it's going to go. I think they'll be behind in that game, and they'll have to catch up. But the New Orleans front is pretty good and could be putting a lot of pressure on Geno and making it tough for him. But I have to start him. I'm not on this bye week. I'm not going to start him. So I hope he has a great game, but we'll see.
Jerry, what's the over under on that Seattle New Orleans game?
Let me look. It is 42.5. That's really low.
21-21. Wow. Yeah, I think that's going to be it.
Saints are favored by 4, so they're thinking like 24-17. Yeah, something like that.
That even sounds high to me. I won't be surprised. Yeah, I was thinking like 17-10. That's going to be a grinded out game. Geno Smith is not good, and
the Seattle secondary is awful.
Even though the Seattle secondary is awful, Jameis is
Jameis played well in this last game.
I could see. Well, maybe then you said 42.5.
Yeah, 42.5 is the over under.
I could see it being 35-7, but I think you're gonna have a positive running game script for the Saints,
right?
And I think that Washington game for Green Bay, I think they're gonna be in positive game script, and you'll see a lot of Dillon and Jones mixing in, running the ball, trying to run the clock down in the second half.
Yeah.
Jerry, I think this is going to come down to how big a game does Henry have against Kansas City, and if they really sell out,
my notes.
Yeah, if they shove 8 guys down in the box and are like, "Listen, you got to beat us through the air," as a Kansas City fan, I don't know if we have 8 guys who combined could still tackle Henry. Maybe Chris Jones, but he's questionable. So I don't know, man. I'm gonna take you, but this is a toss up. It could be a high scoring toss up. I think Godwin is he's got a great. Well, they have a decently tough matchup against Chicago. If you'll remember last year, Tom Brady had this weird like miscommunication on fourth down and it was against Chicago. They've historically had a pretty good defense, especially with Khalil Mack there right now. And it looks like the weather, it might rain too, which could be, if they have a thunderstorm or it gets wet or something like that, it could lead to kind of a Leonard Fournette type game. So I don't know, man.
What do you think of Ridley? I have that this game's going to come down to how well Henry and Ridley do. If they both stink, I have no chance. But if they do pretty well, I think I have a good chance.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to how well Rodgers and Henry do. I mean, if Freeman, Baltimore can run the ball on everyone, but you never know who's going to get like red zone touches. That it might be an all Lamar team game. It might be, you just never know. I do think Higbee is due for a touchdown. He's been playing almost every snap and been getting a lot of red zone targets. So.
That's what I heard last week is that he targeted him in the red zone or inside the 20. They just didn't connect for some reason. I'm hoping he does that this week. I mean, he's not going to put anywhere up near what Kelsey numbers are, but I'll take any points. Yeah. I just feel like I have too many question marks with Ridley coming off a bye and Matt Ryan doesn't really throw it deep. Lockett, if Lockett had Russ against this New Orleans team, I'd feel a lot better, but he doesn't. So that's kind of a toss-up. I'm not very high on Lockett. Devontae Smith is extremely talented, getting a ton of the team's air yards, but they just haven't really been connecting. And Hurts just does not look like a great NFL passer. But I mean, I don't want to drop any of those guys for anyone on the waiver wire. I feel like I just got to play them and hope for the best. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stick with Tyreek and Kelsey production.
Yeah.
We'll see. This is one of the more exciting ones. Neither of us were really affected by the by NATO. I don't know how RO didn't get unscathed at all, and that's going to be crazy. It's going to be a crazy matchup.
So I'm looking now, and this is an update not related to this matchup, but it looks like A.J. Brown says he'll be fine for Sunday against the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, food poisoning, yeah, it sucks for a couple days, but you throw it up and then you recover pretty quickly.
Yes.
Well, every time I've had it, I mean,
you'd rather have off fast food is what he says.
And then someone in a podcast, because he swore that off. Is Chipotle fast food? Would you consider it fast food?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not going to get into the semantics of what's fast food and what's not, but I do think Chipotle seems to me to be a little bit better quality than like a McDonald's or like a Wendy's or something.
You know what's funny is I had Chipotle Sunday and felt my stomach was queasy all Monday. So maybe they just had some nationwide Chipotle food poisoning thing because I did not feel good Monday.
Was it Chipotle that he had that made him sick?
Yeah, he called him out.
Oh.
He said, I had Chipotle and I'm never eating fast food again. So he thinks Chipotle is fast food.
Okay, well, don't eat. He said he's on a bland diet and that he'll be ready to go on Sunday and he's monitoring his fluid intake. So that's all I need to know.
Bland diet sounds like what we did with Parker when he was having the squirts every single day.
Yep. Well, that's more than everyone needs to know, but y'all are welcome. And so not put me down for you, Jerry. I bet are you taking RO to
Yeah, I'm gonna take RO, even though he has some question marks. Like, is Tyreek for sure gonna play?
Let's see the update here. He returned to practice on Friday.
Yeah, he's playing then.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if Collins is gonna play. He luckily gets an extra day. I bet Collins at least plays, but maybe gets. But I think that's a great matchup because New Orleans is not gonna let him go anywhere.
Yeah.
They allow like the least amount of yards per carry in the league.
Yeah.
Doesn't KC really need this win? Because Tennessee beat Bills, so they're probably ahead of the Chiefs now in the playoff rankings.
We need every win we can get. But yes, if we win, the Bills hold a tiebreaker over us, but we would hold a tiebreaker over the Titans. If it came, so it could impact seeding. Because then the Bills are what, 5-2, 4-2,
4-2, yeah.
Yep, and we would be 4-3. The Titans would be 4-3. It would just make it where we could, and then the Chargers are 4-2, and this week I can't remember who they might be on bye.
But yeah, Charger on bye.
Yeah. So, anyways, we just need this win, so it keeps us in the race in the AFC West, and also for the 1 seed overall. So, but yeah.
Well, good luck.
All right. Well, thank you, Jerry. Jerry, this has been fun, man. Stop sharing, and
good luck this week. Everybody have fun.
Good luck to you as well. It's Red Friday. I got my Chiefs polo on.
I got my Thunder shirt on because they're gonna lose to the Rockets today, hopefully.
This is the tanktastic matchup tonight already. Game 2.
Game 2 of 82. That's crazy. But
how giddy are you to see Josh Giddey play tonight?
Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to see him. I don't get the games down here, and we're not on any national games, so
yeah.
I'll just kind of follow along, see how he does.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll sign off now, and we will see you guys again next week. Good luck, everyone, except for you, Nels. I hope your team sucks this week.
Peace.
Peace.